Talking about culture today and how culture leads to massive growth. If you join me for the first time, my name is Brad Hogan. I'm a business guy here in Central Florida. This is season 4, episode 1, talking about culture and how important it is for your business. You know, I have seen massive growth, just explosions in business based on culture. And some guys naturally do it better than other guys. And what culture can do for your business is it sets the tone. It sets the tone of what you want in your business. And we really get what we tolerate within the business. And there are some leaders, managers, as I travel throughout the country and consult with different companies. Some of them are just hardline drivers. This is the bottom line. These are your sales numbers. This is what you need to meet. And that's what everyone's geared towards. And not to say that we shouldn't all have those goals and expectations and be driving towards those, but they can't be the only thing in the company. It doesn't create very good culture, because those managers that are over here that are strictly number driven, there's nothing else going on within the company. We know that statistically, people do not leave companies for compensation. They leave because they don't feel valued, they don't feel appreciated, they don't feel heard. And a good positive culture creates those things. So what is a culture, a positive culture, and how do you build it? And let's first talk about what it does for you. If you've got a good positive culture as an owner, as managers, you can spend less time in the business and more time focused on the business. And what happens is you set it up not necessarily with this intent, but what just naturally happens in a positive culture is the employees will take care of a lot of those things that we do as managers and leaders. And our employees are empowered to become authorities. And believe it or not, as smart as we all are as owners and managers, we don't know everything. You've got 50 guys that are out in the field every single day. And in my case, I'm not even talking about the roofers themselves. I'm talking about sales guys and mid-level managers that are in the field every day. Do you think they run into some stuff that I don't run into or that you don't run into? Whatever's new, whatever's happening, the communication that's out there with third parties, in my case, is roofing. So I've got 50 people out there interacting with the permitting department or the inspections, the county inspector, the city inspector. You know, what are they looking for? What's new? The insurance adjusters, the insurance companies they're talking to, the homeowners. Just what's different, what's changing, what are they accepting, what are they not accepting, what's changing, the manufacturers, whether they're talking to, there's 50 different conversations going on out here with manufacturers, products that are coming that are new, products that are different. And one of the ways we create that culture, this may sound simplistic, it's not real tough to do, but creating a WhatsApp chat, and we've got several of them going on. So we've got a sales chat. And what happened is a guy will have an experience. He's out there and he learned something new from the adjuster. The adjuster told him, well, hey, if you've got lift on this shingle in this certain way, State Farm will accept that and they'll replace the roof if we can find this condition in X number of places. It's just an example of something that may be different, something that may be new. Well, our guy jumps in the chat and lets everybody in sales know that's on a roof inspecting it, hey, if you've got this condition, well, then there's questions. Hey, what about this? What about that? There's photos that are going in there. And those guys are talking amongst themselves and they're all helping each other out. What that does is it creates a unity where these guys are working together. You helped me make some money because that's something I did not know about as a sales guy. Well, imagine me as a leader. I can't be out there on all 50 roofs at once. And some of the guys see 6, 8, 10 roofs a day. Wow. How many roofs is that if you've got 20, 25 sales guys? I mean, it's a lot of ground. It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of area. And it's just that chat. So someone else will jump in and say, hey, I've got a customer that wants to see Owens Corning duration in estate gray. Where can I find that? Well, a couple guys jump in and say, hey, I put one on last week. And then one of the senior guys jumps in and says, hey, there's a whole list in the office that the sales manager made up. I'll send it to you. And he sends it to the chat. Now everybody's got it. And that's got hundreds of homes on it in every color you could imagine. And maybe that's a go-to guy now. There's a chat going back and forth with the senior guy. It's open to everyone. They've got some questions for him. You know, there'll be a new guy that says, hey, I'm on a roof and around the chimney, the crew is saying we've got to build a cricket. And someone will say, ask Brad. And I'll come back and say, yeah, if it's over 30 inches, you've got to build a cricket in that area. It's an educational opportunity, so everybody's educated all at once. What happens when we create that culture and that unity, it goes a step further. Somebody gets in the chat and says, hey, I've got an adjustment appointment that came up 2 days from now. You know, it's happening on Wednesday or Thursday or at 2 o'clock in such and such area. Can somebody cover me? I've got an appointment. And somebody jumps in and says, yeah, I'm going to be in that area. I'll cover it. What is it? You know, and now they're having a chat. Maybe there's a phone call. And because that guy helped me, I'm now willing to help someone else. And as leaders, as managers, we're not there. We don't have to facilitate all that. These guys are taking care of each other. They get together. Now they're getting together for a meal. Now they're getting together to go out. Now they're sharing some of their money, some of their income. It just creates a bond and a culture, and the guys get to know each other rather than everyone just working independently, worried about their own selves. It's more of a group. It's more of a culture. The other thing that will create culture is the chat when a roof is being built. So whatever your business is, when there's a job running, let's now get the office involved. What's changing? Let's get the job coordinator that's on site involved. Let's have the sales guy involved. He's talking to the homeowner. Customer care's involved. They're talking to the homeowner. And it's a chat. Now there's questions among those people that are involved. Hey, the job coordinator says this flashing detail needs to be redone. Here's why. There's an opportunity, once again, for people in that chat to learn from each other about the specifics. And that's knowledge for all those people to now take to their other groups, their other chats, whether it's customer service or the sales guy, or maybe the coordinator on the roof learns something from somebody else in the chat. Maybe somebody in the chat's involved in writing the building code. Maybe somebody in the chat's got 30 years experience. Maybe there's a new product the job coordinator knows about. Hey, I'm using Wakaflex instead of lead on this tile detail. You know, just stuff constantly changing. And as leaders and managers, we can't be everywhere. it creates a culture where those people are interacting with each other and creating a bond. You know, culture is developed over time. And if you don't have the culture you want, you can change it. And I think we just look at other people that have the culture we want, and we focus on those things to develop a positive culture or improve our culture. But I will say this, you may be the smartest guy in your industry, and you can take your show on the road. You can take your ball and go to another location, and you may know everything from A to Z that's got to be done. But that does not necessarily mean you create culture. Just because you know all the ingredients and you know all the numbers and you're a really smart guy or gal, that doesn't translate to culture. So we can learn culture just like we can learn behavior. We're all a product of our environment. Wherever we came from, whatever we've been through, whatever we've done up to now makes us who we are. And we're a product of our environment. The good news is we can all change our environment. So I can read a book. I can get around people that are positive. I can get around people that are a lot smarter than me. I can go to a conference. I can invest in myself. It's the same as everything else. Get a coach. Get around somebody that's doing what you want done. Man, we just rip it off. Derek Janney builds culture better than anyone I know. And he just naturally does it. That's who he is. But to take his culture or his swag or the way he does it and emulate it is an awesome thing. Lee Haight calls it swagger jack. You know, you just take that swag and stick it in your pocket and go on down the road. There's nothing wrong with that. That's who makes us what we are. Just learn from those who are the best in the business. Read another book. Just its cohesiveness. The other things that develop culture besides a chat in WhatsApp is the things that you're doing within the company. So it's getting together. It's going to whatever it is. It's a steak dinner when the sales guys have accomplished something. It's quarterly trips when guys have accomplished something, or production has accomplished something, or back office needs to be recognized. It's the sales guys all getting together to put together a weekend for all those guys that are busting their butts, that are on the roof in all this heat, and put together a weekend, a day, a family day for all those roofers. Our roofers are primarily from Central and South America. They love soccer. Had jerseys made with their names on them, their teams, and rented out a soccer facility for the entire day, hired the referees, brought in all the food trucks, brought in all the bounce houses and the games for their kids, for their wives, accommodated them, just made a fun day of it. And it was an appreciation from the sales guys to the guys that are busting their butts. What do you think that does for culture? And that didn't come from management. That didn't come from the ownership saying this is what we're going to do. That was the sales guys getting together, and that took money. So the guys that were knocking it off, the sales guys got in a chat and said, hey, we need some money to do this. And the sales guys, I say the guys knocking it off, but it's really everybody. Some sales guys said, I'm good for $1,000, I'm good for $1,000, I'm good for 500, I'm good for... It took some money to put that thing together. And I don't know what the total cost was, but sales guys totally did it, totally raised it, creates culture. It's having a corporate fun day where everybody's invited. Production, sales, back office, kids, wives, whole family, and rented out a fun center for the day. Go-karts, games, bowling, just everything you can think of, and rented that thing out for 4 hours. It's spreading these things out. It's whatever you want in your culture, drive towards that. So those are the fun things, but then there's also giving back, feeding the homeless. We have a day. We got t-shirts made up. We're a group. It's also feeding the homeless was one thing we do. We have t-shirts made up where we're all unified. We're all from the same company and we're out there just serving. And that didn't even cost us anything. It was just time. It's a community give back. Feeding children everywhere is another one. That's something, again, we showed up, we did that, we made it a competition, one group against the other, seeing who could produce the most meals in a 10-minute period of time, etc. Just having fun with it while we're doing it. Didn't do it for the photo op, but yeah, we got together for a group photo. It's just all those little things that go into it. There's a time to include spouses. There's a time to include entire families. There's a time when it's just the people working. And all inclusive. I'm in a sales-driven organization. And so much focus goes on the sales guys. I mean, the sales guys, those are the guys getting paid the most money. Those are the guys getting the Rolex watches at the end of the year. Those are the guys that make more money on one project than someone else in the office makes in a year, makes in 2 years. It's the big paychecks. And the other side of it is those sales guys work for it. They're on all commission. Maybe they're not getting paid at all for a week or two or whatever your sales organization looks like. But it's not just the sales guys. It's including production, the guys doing the work. And it's including the back office, human resources, accounting, all the support staff, in our case, permitting, etc. And there's many others, customer care, etc. Everybody is important. Yeah, we can't build a roof until sales guy sells it. But you can sell something, but if someone doesn't build it, it ain't going to happen. If someone doesn't collect the money, the company can't run. If HR is not in charge of keeping everyone happy, benefits, it's not happening. It takes a whole team. If customer care is not on top of the insurance companies and the mortgage companies, we're not going to get our money. It's going to restrict cash flow. As it takes everyone to build that culture, we also have the downside. What if someone is killing the culture? What if someone doesn't fit in? And I'm not talking about different belief. Great example, faith-based company. And that's an area where you got to be a little bit careful due to our laws and regulations. I can't ask someone, what's your religion? What do you believe in? Are you a Christian? If you're not, I'm not going to hire you. You can't do that. It's kind of walking them through the office and all the pictures that are up all around. It's us serving in a faith-based way. Whether we're standing in front of an orphanage or a church in another country or whatever it is, it becomes kind of obvious that we're a faith-based organization, and it's saying to the new hire or the potential new hire, we're a faith-based organization. Is that a problem? And understand something. Not everyone within the organization may believe what you believe. Oh, and maybe you can hire from your church and the Christian school, etc., people as you're starting your company small. But as the company grows and you get farther from the center, it's more difficult to maintain that culture and that belief because we've got to bring in the most qualified people. I always said when selling a roof or talking to a homeowner or a potential buyer, yes, this is who we are. This is what we do. Money goes to the orphanage. It goes to the school in South Africa. This is what we do with our money. It's going to a great cause. But that's not why I want you to buy from me. I want you to buy from me because I'm the best darn roofer there is. We're the best at what we do. That's why I want you to buy my product. Enough of, and I'm so tired of it, seeing the people that join some organization and the organization is their primary reason for a homeowner to buy. Well, that doesn't create good culture. That doesn't translate well. Within the culture, let's be the best at what we do. Let's know that we're the best. And that translates into your culture. It's very important. Give your people the tools. You cannot build the camaraderie and go do the fun things I talked about and suck as a business. I mean, it's not going to work. It's not going to translate. So we've got to do all these things. Let's have the best materials. Let's do the professional presentation. Let's look professional. Let's act professional. Let's represent ourselves well. Let's get the highest rating. Let's strive to be the best of the best in the industry. Let's get the swag. Let's know who we are. Let's help each other out. I got to admit, sometimes it feels like a love fest. But what's the opposite of that? The opposite of that is, it just falls apart and everybody kind of does what they want and we're not who we say we are. Well, that stinks. I'll take the love fest option where sometimes it feels like this is a bit much. I mean, everybody's just complimenting everybody about everything. It can get to that point and kind of go that way, but that's easier to back out. And it's not that there won't be disagreements, but the disagreements you have when you have a good culture turn into healthy conversations. It's not name calling and degrading of other people. It's just a healthy disagreement or, really a conversation of getting to understand what's going on. And typically those conversations come out of different experiences and different understandings. It is very important within culture that you have a balance. I noticed that frequently the back office, all those mostly gals in the office can feel left out. Production's physical, they're making everything happen in the field. And then you got the sales guys that are driving the revenue, and back office has got to be included. You got to know they're important. And typically that's a lot different. When production goes on a trip, oh my gosh, it can be a little wild. Those guys are different. They're very physical. They're out there every day. Sales trip, it can be different. You got a bunch of sales guys, and I say, being one of them, that sales guys are high maintenance. They got egos. They got swag. And I want some of that out of my sales guys. The top guys know. They know they're going to sell the deal when they walk in. So they've got that confidence. And some outsiders would call it arrogance. I don't think so. They're just confident in what they know and they do it really well. And then we've got the back office, which is really just support people. Very important to the organization. So what do we do for them? What's that trip look like? Well, it's more of a girls' trip for the most part. Looks a little different. They might want to go shopping or get their nails done or go to a show or whatever it is those girls do on their overnight. It looks very different, but it's very important that everyone feel valued and feel heard. And it's very important that everyone in the organization recognizes everyone else. Those weekly meetings are so important. I like those meetings in person. And the meetings are fairly, and when you've got a large company, it's going to be a little longer, but they're fairly short, very upbeat, very positive. Let's get the message out. And it's really about getting together once a week. Yes, there can be breakfast provided. Occasionally we did ours in the morning. So occasionally there's breakfast. There's always coffee and water and that kind of stuff. But I don't want it to turn into coffee and donut hour. That's not the purpose. Let's get in. Let's get started on time. Let's start with what's positive. Let's hear from 4 or 5 people. And when you've got that culture and that camaraderie, a production guy's saying, hey, we had this build this week that was really complicated, it wasn't going well, and the back office stepped in, or my sales guy stepped in, he was on site all the time, and they're just talking about positive win. The other thing that happens within that meeting is we're recognizing milestones. We're recognizing we pulled a record number of permits this week, or we had some sales guy that hit a milestone for the first time. Everybody's clapping and cheering for that guy. We have somebody in the back office that celebrated. Could even be personal. Somebody's got a new child or a new grandson or whatever it is. We are just genuinely, truly happy at this point for our friends. And that's what it becomes. It becomes a bond stronger than just a normal, we would say normal everyday work relationship. It's those things. I can talk more on how we do the trips and how frequently and some of those things that go into culture, what the details are. But yeah, it's quarterly trips. It's year-end trip. It's Christmas party. It's those other things I talked about in between. It's a soccer tournament. It's a couple fun days. It is give back to the community. It's just get a calendar and figure out what it is. A little advice here. So many companies come to me and say, we want to create a 501c3. I'm not against you doing that. But most companies, you don't need to create a new 501c3 and get it started and put the time and energy and money into it. Stay focused on your business and just plug in to another organization. Whether you want to give them money or they really need time. I think of the ones we're involved with here locally, Nathaniel's Hope, shout out to them. They do an awesome job of providing Christmas for families with a child that has a disability. They actually provide Christmas to all the kids in the household under the age of 18 when they've got a child in need in that house. Man, that Tim Cook and his wife run that organization so well. We just appreciate being part of it. We just show up, we're part of it. Yes, they need money, they need a lot of stuff, and we can help in that way, but most of all, it's volunteering. Feeding Children Everywhere is another one where we fix meals for kids all around the world that are hungry, in need. That doesn't cost us anything. We just show up and volunteer as a team to do those things. Feeding the homeless. There's typically a coalition somewhere in your community where you can feed the homeless. And I'm sure you guys have got things that are dear to your heart and your families. Take a survey, ask your employees what they want to do. That might be a great place to start. Love you guys. See you in the next one.